I'm Gary Erickson.
And I'm Tyler Hogue.
We became best buds through the heavy music scene.
And now we're doing a podcast, breaking down our favorite bands, albums, and shows.
This is All Consuming Podcast. Welcome, everyone. Today we have special guests, Zeke and Ernie of Idle Threat.
That's right, and this is our first ever band interview on the podcast. We hope you guys love it. Here is the interview.
My name is Zeke, and I play bass and I sing in Idle Threat.
Yeah, my name is Ernie, and I play guitar and I scream in Idle Threat.
Nice.
Yeah.
Big difference between the two.
Yeah.
We're both kind of screaming,
Yells,
but
screams,
it's different.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, for you guys, kind of a funny story when we first heard of you guys, Idle Threat. Gary says this happened. I don't know if it fully did, but he sent me a text dude, check this band out. They're awesome, right? And he usually does that, and he gets me all my new music. And so he says he did that. I don't remember it. And 3 weeks later, I sent him the video of you guys doing the King of the Hill thing. And I'm like, dude, check this band out. They're freaking awesome, man. And he's like, you got to be kidding me. 3 weeks ago, I told you about these guys. So, and ever since then, man, we loved your EP. Ungrateful, broke me the first time I heard it. Broke me, man. I was on a walk. Yeah. I was on a walk, and I was like, yeah, man. That part where it's I'm terrified of living only for myself. I was like, jeez. So, man, yeah, awesome, dude.
Awesome. That means a lot.
Yes, thank you.
Gary, are you the kind of friend that holds it over people's head that you're the one to introduce them to all their music?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
For sure.
We definitely. So, with that EP, we just had gotten signed, and so there's a lot of new things that were happening for us, press and different articles, write-ups, interviews, whatever. But I think what really stuck out was just how you guys do it, and we're I don't know about really large bands, the Devil Wears Prada or
sure
Under Oath or whatever. I don't know if they still keep up with, oh, hey, we were featured in this, or we, someone did a review here or there, but we're still at that level where it's man, hey, someone did something, let's check it out. So I remember with just listening to your podcast, I was like, whoa, okay, this record isn't entirely metaphorical and ambiguous, but there is a little bit of ambiguity in it, and at least room for interpretation. And so it was just really cool that you guys pretty much nailed everything on the head. And
yes.
Yeah.
Seriously, I was listening through it and I was like, I can't believe that they
picked up on that
lyric. Yeah. You guys got multiple levels of kind of what we were trying to say in some of that stuff. And so anyways, what you guys do is very thoughtful, and I really respect it, so keep doing it. And I appreciate you having us on this now. Totally. So thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. So every time we have someone on, this is the first band we've ever interviewed, but we've had other people come on and help us out, help us review some music and stuff. But we always ask them, what was their gateway band into heavy music? So when you guys were younger, what got you into listening to heavier music?
You want to go first? Take that.
Yeah, for me it was a collection of bands. It wasn't just one in particular. Under Oath was one. I mean, and Under Oath is probably the single most important of all of them. Mm-hmm. But at that same time, I was really into, or a backup. I wouldn't say I was really into anything that had screaming in it. It was sort of a forced oh, this seems kind of cool. This guy I respect likes it. He showed it to me, and so I don't really like it, but I stuck with it long enough to like it. But that being said, Norma Jean was huge for me. Band Chiodos was huge, and then Me Without You were Me Without You is still my favorite band, but that was those four all at the same time kind of ushered me into this.
Those are pretty heavy too. It's not
Yeah. Before that,
That's
I wasn't
awesome.
even listening to rock like at all. So it was just
Mm.
kind of like a big culture shock, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
For me, it was different. It was more gradual. Um, I grew up listening to similar kinds of bands, but it didn't really become my own until I turned 13, and my uncle showed me some bands like Mayday Parade and
Oh yeah.
Yellow Card, and I came in through a totally different avenue of like emo and pop punk, and
Yeah.
I grew up loving Reliant K, so I was already kind of accustomed to that. And then JJ, our drummer, we went to high school together, and he was like showing me some other bands. So like, oh, if you like them, you'll like them,
Yeah.
you know. And so I still remember the song. The first heavy song I ever got into was Danger Wild Man by the Devil Wears Prada.
Oh
That
yeah.
was the first one, which is like, I know it's like one of the most popular ones, but it's just so
Yeah.
good. It's
It's
just
popular for a reason.
Yeah.
exactly I know,
Yeah.
I would listen to it before basketball games to get hype and stuff like that. Like,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, I loved it. And then from there, I just kept discovering stuff. So
Yeah.
that happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Okay, I'll go. I'll do that one.
Okay.
So I was raised in a so in my house we were not allowed to listen to non-Christian music.
Okay. Cool.
So growing up, it was only Christian music until I turned 18, and I was like, what's Linkin
Wow.
Park?
Whoa.
But my dad was still a metalhead, and so he'd
Okay.
find all the Christian metal, and but like I was very much into rock, like hard rock kind of stuff. So bands like Chevelle, because their first album was Christian, 12 Stones, Disciple, Pillar, that kind of stuff. And there was a Cutlass song that had Ryan Clark in the background screaming, and I was like, who's Ryan Clark? Like, what is this? What's happening? And looked him up, and I'm like, oh, he's the singer of a band called Demon Hunter. They must be awesome. And not gonna lie, my first listen, I hated it. I was like,
Yeah.
he's just screaming the whole time. And then like when he sings though, I'm like, if he would just do that the whole time. The music is amazing.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of my progression. I think
Okay.
Ryan Clark's clean singing in Demon Hunter is what transitioned me to the screaming in the verses, because then I started to understand and hear, and like, because I'm more of a lyric person. So
Yeah.
like, now that I can understand a full song, I'm like, dude, this song's great. And then I find other bands that are similar, and Off the Haste the Day Road and Under Oath and
Yeah.
all those. So,
Sick.
Cool.
what about you, Tyler?
Well, in my house, we weren't allowed to listen to Christian music. No,
Okay.
kidding, but we did. But we did. I didn't
Only
really
Cradle
like.
of Filth.
That's right. That's all it was. No, I started with like pop punk too. Like Blink-182 was huge for me, and then like
Yeah.
moving up, like eventually got into like System of a Down big time, and Slipknot and Korn, and then I realized at some point that there's stuff even heavier than that, which was like probably in high school, and then like As Lay Dying was big there for me too, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So another fun question that we like to ask, starting this episode, I guess.
Yes,
Okay.
first.
we had our wives do an episode right before this one.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this
I
was
saw
a
you
question
guys
we gave
posted
them.
on
Yeah. So the question we had them answer was breakdowns or solos.
that. It depends on what kind of solo. Is it like a really like shreddy, like Steve Vai kind of solo?
Ooh.
Probably not my thing. But if it's like really tasteful, it can be. Yeah, I don't know. It just depends on what kind of song it is. Sometimes breakdowns are like the best thing you can do. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say at first like maybe neither and say groove, but
Yeah.
breakdowns can groove now.
That's
so
true.
that's
They
I think
can,
I'm gonna
yeah.
go breakdown. Yeah.
Love
It's
it.
kind of like a motto for us. We always go for groove.
Yeah.
If
Go
it
for
grooves,
groove.
it doesn't matter if it's really a breakdown or really a solo. But if it makes you more bob your head,
Yeah.
that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'll move us on to the band questions.
Okay.
So for this album, what bands were your inspiration? Like, did you guys listen to certain bands and go like, we want to kind of marry this sound and make an album like this? Like, where did you get your feel for this album?
I don't really.
Yeah, I would say more so that our whole band has been founded on. So we're a three-piece, so kind of three different pockets of music. Uh, and I mean, as you can tell, even just our entryways into the heavy world, he was more into the pop punk. He does the singing, and to the, I did screaming. I was in the more post-hardcore, so it's kind of like a natural path right in. And I think our whole band has just been kind of uh, founded upon different groups, whether it be Jimmy Eat World or Under Oath or um, the story so far is really popular amongst all three of us, and so I think this record was more just knowing that this is our foundation, but let's like build on it and actually uh, hone in on what we as Idle Threat want to sound like.
And that's not to say that we like don't have influences. We definitely do. But it's just hard to say like, oh, with this record we specifically were drawing from this influence.
Yeah.
But we definitely want to. We owe a lot to the ones who came before us, and we take a lot of influence. But there wasn't any like specific like we're going in this direction. We just kind of started writing and just wanted to go wherever it took us. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. We had a really hard time when we did our episode on your EP, nailing down who you guys sound like.
Yeah.
Like we just, because you guys are different, and I think that's why we like you guys so much. And this album is awesome, by the way. Like,
Thank you so much.
We can't stop listening to it. So, that being said, what is your guys' favorite song off of the new album?
I would say collectively as a band, The Gold Grows Down seems to be like, and we just released that one like a couple weeks ago. I think we're playing that one out now live. It's fun. It feels good. It jams, which is really fun. And but like personally, there's a song called Cinder that I really like, and it's kind of like what's on the record is sort of a different iteration of what we had originally laid down, and so like it just kind of turned into something that I think is really cool and has just a different vibe to it, and I think that's track 2 on the record. I have to think about it, but that one is just it was a song kind of on like the back half of our writing process. Like we'd already written like maybe already like 6 or 7 songs, and that was kind of a back pocket one that we pulled out and then in the studio like completed, and I really am proud of how that one turned out.
Awesome.
It's fun.
Yeah. That's my favorite song off the album, Cinder.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, it's
Really?
so good. Can't wait to talk
hear.
about it for sure.
I don't know. It's hard. It's like asking me to pick between my children, which I don't have. I really have without using the word favorite, I'll tell you some of the ones that I like just love. I have a special place in my heart for Simon. I really that song, just like the way it came together, was like almost like a gift, and then I like Beige a lot. The way that one came together was like, wow, that turned out a lot cooler. And I was hoping it was gonna sound cool, but then it turned out like even better. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then honestly, like recently, I've been just really Driftwood. I like Driftwood a lot. Yeah, that's great.
Sweet. So you already talked about kind of playing these live, which is probably awesome because it's been a crazy couple years, right?
Yeah.
2 years. We haven't been on tour in 2 years until this week. We're gonna go. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang. So what songs are you just stoked to play in front of the crowd, man?
Driftwood.
Yeah, Driftwood.
I'm stoked to play Driftwood.
Yeah. We actually just left practice like not that long ago, so we fine-tuned some stuff, and that song is going to sound really cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be real big, and so we're playing all. So Driftwood's not out yet as of right now, talking to you guys, but it is the next one coming out. And so we're playing all 3 of like the singles from the record on this, and I'm just excited about all of them. I think there's just a stark difference between like playing those songs and just knowing how much like production we actually put into these songs, and So we're playing some older stuff too. Like we are playing Ungrateful on this run, and that one's still like. And actually, we've only played Ungrateful once live.
Because
Wow.
we put out the EP, right, and then
Yeah.
COVID. So like
Yeah.
we literally haven't played. We didn't ever even got to do a release for that record. So I'm playing a couple from that, and a couple, 3 from the new record, and then an oldie. So, um, but yeah, the new ones sound so good. Like I'm really proud of how they are coming together.
Sweet.
Mhm. So I grew up as a tooth and nail kid,
Yeah.
Christian only, that kind of thing. And I can't imagine what it's like to be on the label, right? So I listen to that labeled podcast, and I like to hear all the stories from the bands
Yeah.
and like all the stuff about Brandon Ebel and stuff. So like, have you met Brandon Ebel? Are you ever going to be on the labeled podcast? Is there a break room like where all the tooth and nail bands like go in and have coffee and eat a burrito and watch Judge Judy or something?
I wish that'd be pretty sick.
Yeah,
But no, there is not.
we have not met Brandon Ebel.
No.
And that's just well, unfortunately none of us got to go to Furnace Fest, but I know he was there for a little bit, so maybe we would have met him there, but
Yeah.
I have not met him yet. Mostly we just talked to our NAR guy Adam, and he's a super cool dude. We've had some other people in different departments we've talked to.
Yeah. It's also probably a little bit different because we live so far away
Yeah.
from where
Yeah.
everyone
Mhm.
is, where their headquarters are
Yeah.
at in Seattle. And also we signed in 2020 where no one could travel. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not like we haven't met Brandon yet. Maybe one day we will. And but either way, it's an honor to be on the label.
Yeah. I also am a tooth and nail kid, so it was a dream. And when we put out Nothing Is Broken for Good, like we shopped that around to multiple labels, and they were the only ones to get back with us. So it just seemed sort of like that was the obvious door that we have to walk through. This is the only one. So it's been cool so far. I am really grateful for all the opportunities that they've given us.
Yeah, and for me, I kind of grew up a tooth and nail kid, but not like super until I started getting into Under Oath and stuff like that. But I grew up, my dad used to play in a band, and they would play Cornerstone. And then so I grew up like going there as a kid, not really understanding it, but I would just go and like as a 6-year-old,
That's awesome.
And so my dad was like always kind of in that world, so I grew up around it. And I remember I have a twin brother. Me and my twin brother, we loved the OC Supertones
Yes.
so much, and we were just little kids. And we loved them, and I would have never thought that one day I'd be on the same label with OC Supertones. Right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a crazy full circle thing that God has just like ordained in my life, and I'm thankful for it, and just along for the ride. I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tooth and nail, Tyler. You missed out, man. Your childhood.
I did, and I've gone back and like learned, but dude, like, have you heard of Beloved? They're awesome,
Yeah.
something like that. You know who those guys are? Oh yeah, yeah, man, I did miss out for sure. Okay, want to jump into the album and talk about the songs?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so let's talk about Driftwood.
Grinding down the edges of the blade, compressing all expressions into gray, striving for the winter at the trace. When that place of pain lasts for years, sometimes there's beauty in the waves. The surface is an easy place to swim.
Awesome, super heavy song. That's gonna be your next single. You guys said that you're gonna release, right?
That's right.
Okay, we kind of have a bet though. We got to get this out of the way. Gary
Yeah,
and
we
I
have a
do
milkshake bet.
we do this thing called a milkshake bet, and if he's right, then I owe him a milkshake. If I'm right, I owe him a milkshake. He thinks that Corey Brandon from Norma Jean is on this song, and I said no, it's not. No, he's not. Who's
Okay.
right?
Gary is right.
Yes.
Come on!
So I'm gonna head to the Tri-Cities right now, and you can get me a milkshake.
My goodness. Okay. Wow.
So what was that like? Like, how did you guys get him to like do it? Or did you just say,
Yeah.
Talk to your A&R guy or?
No, so we shoot. So back in November of 2019,
Yeah.
the Devil Wears Prada went on tour with Norma Jean and Gideon, and they played at the Exit Inn in Nashville. And up until that point, we had never really played huge shows. I mean, we had opened, I think, at that point for like 68.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Birds in Row, like
Mhm.
some bands like that. But Devil Wears Prada is JJ's like favorite band, or at least maybe
Of all
second
time,
favorite
yeah.
band.
Yeah,
You know. So
yeah, that's right.
so we never really like did a whole lot of reaching out to see if we could get on stuff because we kind of were on the mindset of like you got to just earn it. But it doesn't work that way, so you do actually have to ask, I guess. So we asked a friend of ours who was booking that show, like, hey, if they want an opener, like, could we play it? And at this time, we were already like pretty much locking it in with tooth and nail, so it just kind of made sense. And so, anyways, she had us play it, and we opened it. It sold out, and yeah, it was
awesome.
honestly one of the coolest nights ever. And we played, and like we were talking to Corey outside, mostly JJ, and our other guitar player, because he and I were kind of running around doing merch and stuff like that. But we did talk. I chatted with Corey for a little bit, but just a relationship sort of formed with him, and then after that show, they came through and did that house show tour, and they wanted us to play the Nashville date, so that was a sold out basement show, and yeah, played that, and yeah, just kind of like kept a relationship there. I mean, you know, wasn't they were like close or anything, but just like you know, a mutual. I mean, his band is one of my favorite bands ever.
Yeah.
You know, and so like.
Yeah.
And apparently he likes our band, and so he's been just kind of like taking us under his wing. And when we were writing this record, we knew we wanted a guest spot. And we had a couple names that we would like to try, but Corey was like at the top, so
Yeah.
we just kind of
Yeah, let's see if he wants to do it.
yeah,
So
got
and
in
he did.
contact with him, and he was like, yeah. So he did it for us, and that was it. Yeah.
It was really awesome to hear him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, like this song really kind of sounds like a Norma Jean. Like if Norma Jean had one guitarist or something, like it's like a little tamer, not as aggressive, I guess. And then all of a sudden you hear Corey, and I'm like, wait, is that Corey or is that? And I was like, that's not him.
Wow, that's really cool, guys. And Driftwood is a super heavy song. Is it your heaviest song, would you say, or
Either that or Safety in the Shade.
Yeah.
That end and Safety in the Shade might be another one.
Yeah, I guess
But overall,
probably Driftwood is heavier, but
Yeah.
Safety in the Shade is like got the like hardcore feel to it, so
Yeah.
it's got riffs.
the hardcore groove.
Yeah.
the groove.
definitely groove. I get it now. I get the groove. Absolutely. Cool. So
Yeah.
what was the inspiration for writing Driftwood?
I don't really know. I mean, Ernie came up with the chords a while back. This was one of the first songs that we wrote for the record.
Oh, really?
And Ernie had like sent over the chords and like the it's like 6/8 feel or whatever. And I remember when he sent it over, I was like, man, there's something there, but I don't know what it is. And then all of a sudden, one day, I just got hit with this like bout of inspiration, and I wrote the whole first verse, and it just came to me, and I was like, okay, I guess this song is about apathy. So we just kind of followed that train with the cadence and the melody that I came up with in the first verse, and then the chorus we did a lot of refining in the studio.
Yeah.
And then so the rest of the song, the bridge riff was actually something that our other guitarist, or he's not officially in the band, but also kind of officially in the band. He plays with us all the time. His name's DJ.
Yeah.
Good friend. He wrote a riff. That DJ wrote that, and we had used that for like an intro to our set before. Because like that riff is sick. We want to use that, but we didn't know where to put it.
Yeah.
And then we discovered that like it worked perfectly with Driftwood. We're like, dude, that'll be the outro for the song. And so that was really when the song like came together, and we're like, this is it. Like
Yeah.
this is the full song. But from the start when we were writing it, like we knew like this is one of the heavier songs. This is kind of more in that Norma Jean direction, that more post-hardcore direction, and we were totally okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, my first time listening to it, I was like, this is already my favorite song. And then the second song, and I was like, now this one's my favorite.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
So we ready to head to the next song?
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it.
So the next song is Cinder.
I'm giving up the blood I used to fill my cup. Then I can understand the sequence of a captivated man. I'm moving.
I have a question. There's a girl that's reading something in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a Bible verse, and I think I know what it is because I have powerful Google skills. But what is she reading?
Well, the original recording that I think they got is the old poem.
Okay.
Oh.
So, to describe this, it was a poem by Amy Carmichael called "Make Me Thy Fuel, O Flame of God." And Amy Carmichael passed away in 1951, and the public domain is supposed to be in public domain 70 years after the author's death, but apparently we just didn't get that mark.
Well, we did get but the publisher who owned that poem renewed the publishing rights. So unfortunately, I didn't know that you guys had that version. So when I talk about like that iteration and then there's a new one of it, so like what's
I
in
know.
it? Trust me, like we really loved that.
Yeah.
But to avoid a lawsuit, obviously, or
Yeah.
potential lawsuit. Maybe who knows if they would even know who we are. But we had to change it to a different poem. So the poem now is called "Dwell in Me, O Blessed Spirit." I don't think it's a poem. I think it's a hymn.
Mm-hmm.
And what we started we read it more as a poem rather than singing it like a hymn.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Still awesome. We still wanted to find a hymn that we felt like fit the song.
Yeah.
But the original idea was that poem.
Yeah.
And it's not public domain, so we couldn't do it. So sorry to let you down.
Well, now I'm
you know.
excited to hear the other version. Right, now I'm
It's gonna be a
stoked to
whole
hear
new
that one.
song.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Same person though reading it, and like it's all literally the same sort of effects. It's just a different words.
yeah.
Cool.
Eh.
Either way, this is probably my favorite song on the album. Like I love it, and I think like what I like about it, I think you guys do this so well. Going from that heavy to like bringing it down and having that introspective, just this music and feel, almost kind of like there's like some ambient vibes to it too. Like I just love that, and like I just the way you can do it on a dime too, and then the ending of this song lyrically is super awesome, super moving. So love it, man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's that's just speaking to the ending, like that part, sort of just like a plea for renewal. As believers, like we go through cycles of maybe burnout,
highs and lows,
just highs and lows and stuff, and just like with the whole record kind of being around this idea of a lack of control, whether it be specific situations or just your life in general, like
a world pandemic.
Yeah, or a pandemic. Not that we wrote the song from that perspective necessarily, but like it was, that it's just like realizing, oh crap, I don't have any control, so like God, I need you to like intervene, and renew me, ignite that flame again.
Yeah, I think it's probably you, Ernie, screaming "Renew my spirit," right at some point.
At the end?
I think so.
At the end, and
Renew my spirit.
Well, in high part?
yes,
Yeah.
that part is awesome.
Renew my spirit, ignite my
That's you. Oh
Yeah.
man, Zeke, that's great too. So you do scream. You can't just. You don't. Come on. You don't.
It's
just
more of
because
a
I'm-
wail.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's more of a wail. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, that's
It's
awesome.
different because I'm like still hitting a note. It just gets
Yeah.
really rough.
Yeah.
But I can't do what Ernie does.
It's kind of like Wolves at the Gate, you know, Steve, when he sings. Sometimes he sings with like a raspy when he hits
Got that
high,
grit.
but
Yeah.
he's not their
Okay.
screamer.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
saving that for a note later in another song. To
Oh,
talk
Okay.
about how
sorry, I ruined it for you.
But
Gary.
I'll bring it up again.
Yeah, that part's awesome, and when you think about it, and like you guys said, with like the times where you feel like the lows, those valleys that you're in, and thinking like it feels like you're super far away from God, right? And then just that plea at the end is just awesome and super super helpful. Love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Awesome.
cool. All right, let's move on to track 3, Safety in the Shade.
Do you think I'll see some provision, or will I just be left to wander through the suffocating heat? And as the distance grows, fears of the end start
So
to
there's a lyric that my first time listening to, like, I listen to music at work all the time, and usually it's like just in the background. Sometimes it's really loud, and so when we got your guys' CD, I listened to it like all day long, just on repeat. And every time this song came up, there was one line that just made me like what was that? I'm listening, and it's the line where he says, I think Zeke says, "Did God really say you're forbidden from everything He made?" And I just wanted to like ask, what is this song about? Like, safety in the shade. I have my own assumptions on what it
Yeah.
means, but
Sure. Yeah. So this song is actually about a very specific event in my life. So I guess like coming right out of, well, really at the start of the pandemic, I just started to like deal with some anxiety, and specifically like just this weird kind of heat related anxiety where like I always felt like I was like too hot and like overheating, and like I've had a couple times where like I've just like been dehydrated and stuff, and it just sucks. Like it's a really terrible feeling. So probably a little bit of like PTSD from like that panic feeling of thinking of like literally dying. And so it's happened to me a couple times in my life, and so but it got real bad during the pandemic. So and I've noticed also gone to like therapy and stuff, and like talk to people about it, and have learned that like or noticed that it's really happened twice in my life where I've had this sort of like crippling anxiety where I can't like go out and really function very well, and it's both happened from after a period of like being super busy and then just an immediate slowdown. So like the first time being like when I graduated college, like super busy that last year, and then all of a sudden it's like I don't have to do anything. I can just go to work. And I started to kind of deal with some anxiety then, and then obviously a pandemic shut down the whole world, and now I'm inside a lot. So I was out on a walk one day because my therapist was like, you're just gonna have to deal with it. It's in here in Tennessee, it's super hot, and like I grew up here, but I never get used to the humidity and feeling like I can't escape from it. And so I was just like out on a walk one day, just trying to, I had gotten to the point where I was able to actually like do that, because before that it was like even just like the idea of leaving my house like 10 minutes, it was just like gave me anxiety, just like felt weird about it. So wasn't good. It was affecting my marriage. It was just not a good situation. And anyways, out on this walk, and I remember I was taught some grounding techniques and stuff through therapy, and just some really helpful stuff. And I started to feel that like overwhelming feeling again, and realized like if I can just get to that shade over there, I'll probably feel better. And then it hit me like that the sun moves, the shade moves. Like it's always this fleeting thing that I'm going to be like pushing after and trying, like to find this quote unquote safety, right?
Right.
So the song is about that anxiety. However, it also dawned on me that the story of Adam and Eve is also this idea of hiding in the shade from God, right? So I wanted to write this song very intentionally about equating my experience, not equating, but at least just paralleling the idea that, you know, uh, what I feel like is the most uh, helpful thing for me in the moment of my anxiety is to run and hide in the shade to cool off, when really, like, the sun gives you life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then equating that or paralleling it to Adam and Eve, where the one thing they really needed in that eye-opening experience of life and death is to actually run to God, but they decided to hide in the shade from God. So largely that's what that's about, but that line specifically that you're asking about, Gary, is really Zeke kind of came up with that idea as we further walk through the story of Adam and Eve, where Satan starts to, like, tempt them by, or really sort of lie to them, rather deceive them.
And that was kind of what that was kind of what he said. Is like, did God really say that you can't eat from that tree? You know. And so we kind of took that idea and like made that like the voice that you hear in your head when you're anxious, and all you can hear is like the voice of fear and lies saying that, like, you know, you need this in order to feel safe. And so that's what that line is. It's playing off of the story of Adam and Eve and the serpent feeding us lies in our head, saying, did God really say that you're forbidden from everything he made and that you'll be grasping at the shade for all your days just to feel like you're safe? That's what that line is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a catchy song.
It is.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's awesome insight too. I love the build up with the guitar to, like, the chuggy chugs at the end, if that makes sense. Like, I love it. It's so good. And it feels like a different song. And I said this already, like, the way that you guys do that's awesome. And this is another song where it's like it turns into this awesome, just huge ending. And it's so cool, so cool. Now I know this is Ernie right here. Look for safety in the shade, you'll find nothing. Right? Yeah. You scream that. I think that's what it says. And that's awesome. And thinking about what you guys just explained and applying that to that scream is so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. That full line is there has to be a sanctuary of relief. Look for safety in the shade, you'll find nothing. So it's just like this, like, I think at first listen it can come across as this very like anti-creator kind of view, like like nothing is out there to help you. But what it really means is that the things that you think are best for you are fleeting. Like, it's not going to be the thing that ultimately what you need to do is face your fears or face the thing that you're hiding from. And that is what will actually bring, that resolution of whatever you're kind of struggling with.
Yeah, that ending, I get my little, like, head bobbing groove, even though it's trying to get that groove going, man.
Yeah, groove.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a breakdown. It's like
it's a breakdown.
It's,
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. Okay, track 4, Arrogant Love. Another awesome song. So what is Arrogant Love? my first thought on there.
I think again, just again, if you think about the whole record being about control, a lot of times that control or seeking after control can often kind of yield pride, right? And so, arrogant love is about pride in the midst of an argument, really. And
Even in the midst of like relationship,
specifically,
yeah.
yeah. So that song is, I think a lot of the lyrics, or at least the foundational lyrics for that song, were written just about like me arguing with my wife, like, and how sometimes, like one time, I think she told me like you can be really prideful, and it like stung, you know. I was like, oh, dang, like,
No, I'm not.
yeah, no, you are. So, like that's it. Just it stings, and like it's like, oh man. So like, and then obviously that verse in Corinthians is about like what love is,
Yeah.
and love is not arrogant. Like so, that song is just like a kind of maybe a story. We don't do a whole lot of storytelling in our songs, like of like a specific situation, really. I guess other than maybe the one we just mentioned, but it's just largely about an argument that's taking place, and the main character, or the first point of view there is just like being super prideful and like but then at the very end, like that whole like chanty piece is like kind of like a pride has like crept its way. I let the door open just a little bit to pride, and when you do that, it infiltrates like all the way, right? Like you can't just like kind of let pride into your life.
Yeah.
Like, you do a little bit, you're prideful. Like it takes over. So yeah. And then the very last call out is like, love, it cannot be this arrogant. It's like, again, sort of a plea to pull you out of like this mindset. Like, man, like the self-realization, like I suck. Like I am prideful, and this is not loving whatever relationship you're talking about. Yeah.
That's good. And it's that idea, I think, too, like outside even, like you might win that argument. You might have like a victory in that, but like at what cost? It could end the relationship. It could lead to some terrible things. That's, cool.
Yeah, when I heard the song, my first thoughts, so I have a lot of friends that are, we'll say, theological, and we have a lot of debates, and sometimes it gets heated, and even like when you win your argument, it's like, the guy that lost is like, they're like, now I'm mad at you, where this isn't going, it kind of ruined our friendship. Like, did you really win? Like, am I convinced at your stance? And that's like what went through my head with the song. And
that's exactly like kind of what we're going with. Yeah, like it's like being right is not always the best option.
And the most Christ-like thing to do. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, good song.
All right, track 5. Simon.
Simone. Oh yeah.
Simon, the soft song. The acoustic guitar is busted out for this, right? I mean, you can hear it. It's awesome. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song. Super great. What inspires you to put this soft song on this album?
Well, we had the idea of the chords. Again, there are Ernie's chords, Ernie's riff at the beginning.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, that was all we had. And we, at least me and Ernie, we loved that. We're like, man, we'd love to write a slower song off of this, And for the longest time before we wrote lyrics to it, that song was tentatively dubbed "Sexy Song" because it had like this like sexy vibe to it. But it's no longer called that.
Lyrically, I don't know if that really
nah, not really
meshes well now. Oh, that's awesome.
But then we wrote some verse chords, and sure, like by the time we knew it, we had like a full song of just music, and we didn't have anything else. And then we were in the studio and we needed lyrics in it. I took my clothes to the laundromat one day at the studio up in New Jersey, and I just, while I was waiting for them to finish washing, like, I just started getting all these lyrics and writing them down with the melody. And I remember I had the idea for the chorus first, and that's when I knew the song was like, okay, this song is about, the perspective of Peter in the Gospels, and kind of relating like my own or anyone else's experience as a believer, just like sympathizing with Peter, like being like brash and passionate at times and having these great ideas of being a warrior for his Savior, but then failing him and just feeling like, man, like I failed the one who cared for me the most. And that's kind of what the whole song is. It's just like a lament of like, I wanted to be like so much, like I wanted, and yet I missed it somehow, and then the end is like, kind of the whole point is like, in my failures, like you're still with me, you still love me. And the end of it's like, how could I not know that I'm loved? And just kind of leaving the song there. Was kind of how we wanted to do it. So.
Yeah, I like how it's written in a way where, like, if you didn't know the Bible, it wouldn't be like, oh, this is, from one of the Gospels. Like it's very, it's lit. I mean, I think every Christian's gonna hear it and go, I know that story.
I've heard that before. I've heard that before somewhere.
Yeah. Wait. What? 3 denied him? What? But I really like the part. I wished I wrote more notes. But when you say, you were pleading in the garden and I was sleeping.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing, just like, it's a very emotional song, and I mean, I really like it.
Thank you. Yeah.
You were troubled in your spirit. I was sleeping in the garden when they were hurling accusations. I denied you to their faces.
It kind of reminds me how, like, Oh Sleeper, they're super heavy on this album right there.
Oh, what a flex, Gary.
I just want to show off my guns.
Right here.
There it is right there.
Like these bands, they'll have like 9 out of 10 songs are so heavy, and then they'll randomly have like this really soft one. And Oh Sleeper has one that's, that is, Micah isn't screaming in it at all. It's all, it might even be acoustic, but they all have this one song that's really soft. Like even Haste Today has that autumn song on Dreamer, and it's acoustic, and it like even if you really like the heavy stuff, that one break in there is just, and it makes it really stand out, and it's like a breath of fresh air. And I think you guys nailed it with Simon. Like,
thank you.
It's probably my favorite song on the album.
Oh,
wow, very cool.
Gary.
Very cool.
Yeah. Nice. Ask me again in a month. I might have a different answer. I don't know.
Okay.
That's like kind of our philosophy with writing a lot of heavier parts, is that you really can't know what heavy is if you don't have something to have that contrast.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, not that I have anything against like Meshuggah. I love Meshuggah.
Yeah.
But like, it's just heavy. It's just like heavy, and like, but at some point I'm listening to Meshuggah and I'm like, I'm like completely lost where I'm at, and like, is this heavy anymore, or am I in this world now? Is this just where I live? And it's nice to have like those lighter songs. So like, not that we will always have an acoustic track, it just worked this time, and that's kind of like where we went with it. Yeah.
So we're halfway through the album, and I have a couple notes that I wanted to say like beforehand, and I thought of them, and now they're gone, and here they. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
So this morning I was listening to this to come up with some extra, notes and questions getting ready before we went to the pumpkin patch with the kids,
Nice.
And my wife pointed out that every song is different. Like, like some bands, it's like you can hear a song, you'd be like, which one is this? Is this track 1, track 4, track 8? But like, you guys are really good at making each song more dynamic and like it's like you don't follow the same pattern on each song. You know, it's not a verse chorus verse chorus verse chorus, or like it starts with a guitar and ends with a guitar. Like it's always something different, and I really like that. It reminds me of like Under Oath's, you know, they're only chasing safety. Like you know the song as soon as it starts. It's not like wait, which one was this one? Like every one is completely different, and I really like that about this album.
Thanks. That was what we were aiming to do on this one specifically. I think a lot of our early, less mature stuff was maybe a little more formulaic. I'm not saying that it fit like a verse, chorus, because actually until Cement, maybe, on Nothing is Frozen for Good, we really hadn't written a traditional verse, chorus. But formulaic in the sense that we had a thing that we did. We did start the songs with a lot of just guitar, and then the band comes in real big, and then it reaches a valley, and then reaches a mountain, and then hits a valley, you know.
Yeah.
And so with this record, there was a lot of times where we specifically said, well, we've already done this on this song, so maybe let's try to figure out a different way to start it. Maybe let's not get that big on this song, and that's kind of why, like, Simon is also where it's placed at track 5, is to sort of we've just kind of come out of 2 songs that are kind of heavy, and then one's kind of doomier sounding, I guess, and then you have that acoustic track. So everything was kind of intentionally placed to hopefully convey that, like, we're trying to creatively come up with ways to, not creative, I mean, people do songs like this all the time. We didn't invent anything, but you know what I mean, like, do things differently than what we maybe have been accustomed to doing on all of our previous EPs.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so the next song, The Gold Grows Dim.
Time crawls forward along this thread, slipping by until my past is dead, pushing back further in my mind, slipping.
And you guys said this earlier, collectively, the band's favorite song.
Yeah, it's one that, like, again, without using the word favorite, it's one that, like, we all love. We all love this one.
And it grooves, like you said, absolutely grooves. It's not like this huge, like, even like, you know, Driftwood or Cinder, but it's still heavy, and it's a fun song.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm kind of curious on the lyrics. When this single came out, I think that's a few days after that is when Zeke reached out and was like, "Hey, we'd love to be on the show," and we're like, "We don't interview bands, but we'd love to." So obviously I'm like, okay, I better start listening to their singles if I'm gonna ask them questions. And so I was really trying to dig into these lyrics, and I really like the lyrics, but I kind of want to know what the metaphors are. So there's in the chorus, there's searching for stones among the fields of gold, longing to see anything than what's been laid in front of me. Aren't you normally looking for gold, not looking for stones? You know?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Yeah. Like, I think the line right after the first line of the chorus is kind of explaining the first line. And that's really what the whole song is about. Like, and there's a lot of allusions to time in the verses. But like the first line, or the first verse, is a lot about, like, looking to the past, like wishing that you could just go back to that time in your life, you know. And then the second one is a lot of, like, wishing that you could just jump forward ahead of something.
Yeah.
And the chorus is kind of the main theme of both of those. Like, all I'm doing is, like, searching for stones in the midst of, like, something else that's so valuable, which is the present, where I'm at right now. Longing to see anything than what's been laid in front of me. And when you live that way, you'll miss your life, you know. And that's really the point of the whole song.
That's awesome. So
I think it's pretty catchy.
Oh, go for it. Sorry, Gary.
I was just gonna say, I think this one is it's almost like radio friendly. Like, I feel like, what's that XM station that plays somewhat heavier stuff?
Oh, I don't know. I don't
know.
ever listen to
I don't
radio.
even know what XM is, Gary.
Well, anyway, I think this is more palatable for the general audience, is what I'm saying. Like,
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why we think we were thinking the same thing, and that's why we're like, yeah, this one needs to be a single. We definitely want to put that one out. Yeah.
So what is your guys' thought process with releasing singles, right? So you're going to have another one released soon, you said, the Driftwood. What's your thought process and how you release your singles?
Well, it is a bit of a more than just internal process. Like, so now that we're on a label, obviously we have other input that comes in from outside of the band. So what we know generally how it works is we kind of come up with like 3 that we would like as a band collectively to release as singles, and then we might get 3 from A&R and the marketing team what they think. And we kind of compare, and then ultimately we get to pick, but they kind of give their input on kind of what, and then we kind of hash it out like, here, this is what we were thinking, this is why. So for us, a lot of times the singles we pick are well, if it were just us, right? Like if it were just us releasing, we would probably release stuff that is a little more, like not in our opinion, the best ones, because we don't want, the worst thing is to get an album and all the singles that came out were the best, and then the rest of the album isn't that good, right?
Totally.
I would rather it be like, oh, these singles are like good, but whoa, this stuff, this track, this deep track is really good. However, and they know what they're doing, which is why they've been around forever. The label kind of put forth, I think we had 2 of the same singles and then 1 that we had to kind of sort of discuss. But they brought out, like, you're still a relatively young band. Well, to everyone, we're a new band, but we've been doing this now for like 6 years. So, you don't really want to hold back your best. Like, you want to give people a reason to like look forward to the rest of the record, and not just kind of like, I feel like if you're a huge band, then maybe it makes sense to put out something like kind of like head scratching, like this is kind of strange. Like, I'm intrigued. I want to hear the rest of this album. But at our stage, it made a little more sense to have some stuff that was more, I wouldn't call it mainstream, but just a little more broad of a reach, right? But yeah, like I said, of the 3 singles, like I said, we picked 3, they picked 3. 2 of them were the same, so we were on board with that. And then 1, we ended up kind of deciding, yeah, we still would like. I think it was the Golden Rose Death. Or no, it was Driftwood.
Yeah.
So Driftwood actually kind of, that was what they were wanting. And I mean, it's a great song, so we're cool with it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I have a thought on the order of your singles.
Okay.
And I think this is why Tyler brought it up, because I'm always right and he's always wrong. So
only with Corey Brandon.
Your first single, in my opinion, I think it's the most like your last EP.
Probably.
So my thought is it was put out as like a, look, we're still making the same sound. This is what we sound like. So even new people would be like, oh, here's a new song. It's better produced. It sounds a lot cleaner, good, big sound. Then the second one is more of a poppy, like more friendly.
Poppy.
I mean, I don't know the right word.
That's not poppy.
Compared to other songs on the album. Like, and I'm not saying this is particularly you guys. I'm saying, like, I think they do this for every band. And then the third song is like, but look, we're super heavy. Here's our heaviest song. And I kind of thought, I was thinking that about Phineas's 3 that they put out, but
yeah,
that's
I don't
my.
think that's like, I don't think that's far-fetched or anything. I think there's probably some truth in again, we didn't come at it from that angle. We just kind of picked 3 songs we thought were great, and then let's organize them in the way that we want them kind of to be put out. But we knew that No Turning Back was going to be one that the label wanted, because it.
Yeah.
We didn't write it for that reason. It wasn't like, oh, hey, we got to write something the label's going to like. But we wrote that song, and it just like, yeah, this is kind of the most like Cement, which was the big single off the EP. So this makes sense for that to be the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other 2, it was kind of like we picked one and then they picked one, and We were all just kind of. I don't know their thought process, but that makes sense that it could very well be that way.
Well, that's just my philosophy of how they do it. But then, Devil Wears Prada, the act, kind of threw a wrench in all that. So
That's true.
because their singles were way different than
That album was way different,
yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
loving it.
Cool.
So our next song, track 7, Damage Control.
We can control all the damage. We can control all the damage. It's not too late to confess and make. We saw the light and make new again. Make us do warnings. Show us what you say. Make us feel the need to practice what we preach. It's not too late to confess and make. We saw the light and make new again.
So this is the one that I was saying kind of reminded me of Wolves at the Gate,
Okay.
with how Steve sings, with his raspier wailing.
Sure.
My only problem with the song is it's too short.
I'll take
Like
it.
when it ended, I was like, "Oh man, where's the other 2 minutes?"
Yeah.
But I really love the song. I think it kind of reminds me of like I don't know, grungier '90s, just with how the grooves are and how Zeke sings in it.
Sure.
I wrote a verse, I guess, I don't know, lyrics
Mhm.
that says, "Bring us to our knees, show us what you see, make us feel the need to practice what we preach." Powerful stuff.
Thank you.
What is the damage
Yeah.
control? What the name of the song, right?
Yeah, so this song is kind of addressing some things that are like, I guess, going around in our culture right now. They're not new. There have been people who have been church hurt for a long time, but we wanted to write a perspective of someone who's still part of the church and still love the church. Just kind of like a perspective of like we see the people who have been hurt, and we recognize that their pain is real, and some of it is valid, and some of the things that happen to them we would never support, and just kind of like a song of like lament or really like a song of like repentance that like we can be better than this, but also there's an aspect of it where it's like as long as the church is made up of human beings, there's going to be some damage that we can't control.
Right.
And yet, at the same time, a lot of our ministry, at least in a country like America, where Christianity or even just cultural Christianity is so widespread, naturally part of our ministry as true followers is going to be kind of a damage control. Like we're going out and assessing some of the wrong things people were taught or like wrong ways people were treated by the church, and so it's really just another perspective on church hurt. People have been hurt by the church, but we wanted to write it specifically from a perspective of people who are part of the bride of Christ
Mhm.
and would weep with those people as they weep. And yet we love the body of Christ. So it's not like a condemning against the church, but also like it's a song recognizing some of our faults as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's cool. And musically, like I love the riffs at the end. It's super cool, super heavy. And yeah, like hearing that perspective of the lyrics, like brings a whole nother level to it. Love that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we knew when we wrote that song that we wanted it to be like just a quick thrashy, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
we wanted to write a song like that in general, and
Yeah.
so we felt like with this one, like this is the one to do it, and so we were like, we knew going into it what we wanted it to be, and then we wrote it like that.
A lot of the like old punk, was like a minute and a half, if that,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of
Right.
punk songs are very short, and so it's like, man, I guess we had Restore Repair on the last record. That was a shorter song.
Yeah.
But I think this might take the record now for our
Yeah.
shortest song. And it was just that on purpose. But, you're not the first person that's voiced that,
It just means I have to play it more.
You
You
just
know.
got to keep playing it. Even our A&R guy was like, dude, my only issue with that song is that it's just not long enough. Like, it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
But I would rather leave people wanting more than be like, man, this
Giving
song
them
is
too much.
6 minutes
Yeah.
long. It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's gonna sound. This will sound weird, but Project 86 had a song called Three Card, and it's just super fast and thrashy. And when it's done, it's like, I guess I have to listen to it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from a old album, but
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I do find myself repeating this song probably the most.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
so is it your favorite then?
No, Cinder's my favorite, but Damage Control is up there. I do really like this song a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet. Appreciate that.
Track 8, Playing Dead.
While you were coming apart, I was moving away from you, hyper focused on my narrow point of view, convinced I knew it all when I had only a grain of truth, saying, little brother, it's all in your head. Are you really asleep or just playing dead? Take a deeper breath and resuscitate.
Lyrically, I wrote down I think it's super awesome. You were coming apart. I was moving away from you, hyper focused on my narrow point of view, convinced I knew it all, when I only had like a grain of truth. And that stuck with me hearing this song. What is that about?
Yeah. Again, this is just another sort of thing that has happened in my life in the last couple of years. But my little brother he's about 5 years younger than me, and just has been dealing with, I guess, some depression, and we're very different people in many ways, but I grew up like him, always wanting to be like exactly like me or do all the things that I wanted to do or that I got to do. And as we got older, he kind of had some of his own, independence and kind of getting into things. And I guess he essentially got into some trouble not too long ago, and it just kind of revealed some stuff going on in his life that there were flags for, and I missed them, all of them, and came across more as like maybe more judgmental than I should have been. And so a lot of this song is just a self-reflection of like, man, like, that hyper focused on my narrow point of view. Like, I'm only into like what I'm into. Like, I haven't even like reached out to see how you're doing. This can be applied to a lot of people. Like, it's hard to be a good son, a good husband, a good friend, a good neighbor, nephew, all these different things at the same time, like we are, and still like do things yourself. And so a lot of times I get so caught up in what I'm doing, focused on my own life, that I forget to check on those that I love, right, and see how they're actually doing. And I do want to say he is like doing better, and so like, and I don't even know if he knows that this song is about him. To be honest, I've shown him the songs, but it affected our family in a way that I've never, in my 28 years, never really experienced. And so this song is just a reminder to myself, really, that like, don't always assume that someone is behaving a certain way or doing a certain thing because of what you perceive them to be, like lazy or unmotivated or whatever.
Yeah. It's really easy to write people off if you're not experiencing what they're experiencing.
Right.
Right? And that's kind of what I got from it. Like, you see somebody that's doing something that maybe you would never do or even think about. Like, someone's has an addiction or whatever it is, and your point of view, you have no empathy for those people.
100%. That's exactly right.
And so that really, speaks to me, like in my life today, just not always focusing on myself and just looking at who I am as the people around me, my family, like you were saying with your brother, reaching out to them and stepping outside of my point of view and not writing them off for things that maybe I don't do or don't see.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Awesome. Cool. Gary, anything else on this song?
I love that foghorn sound or whatever that guitar is doing right at the end. It's
that
like
tone
wah
is
wah
great.
wah 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 wah.
That tone is awesome.
Love that.
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
throughout the whole album, the guitar tones, especially when you guys go heavy, are just spot on, man. It's
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was
Spot
fun.
on.
That was really fun, and we definitely that was just a perk of the studio that we were in. I mean, we just got to be in there and just play around on
Yeah.
all kinds of. I mean, our producer Brett had like 2 massive boxes of guitar pedals, and
Oh yeah.
I'm not really a gearhead, so like I was going through and was like, "What's this one do? What's this?" I'm like probably really annoying with it because it's like I don't know what this does. So he's like, "Try it." So we just would try things, and eventually we would come up with these different sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brett was great. We had a lot of fun. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
That's cool. Okay, track 9, Beige.
I went basking in the beige. I went roaming through the haze. I went digging my own grave, sinking in my lifeless way. I saw a good friend die. I watched his mother cry. I was a broken man. He said, never again. Built a Jericho. This is where no one goes. You started marching when I said never again.
Another really awesome song, and you guys already mentioned how you really love how it came together after you got it all recorded and stuff. Here's my question, is it just Zeke singing clean, or is there another vocalist on here?
No, this song is just me. Yeah.
Just
Me.
you?
Is there?
Wow. That's
Not
awesome.
on this one. There's a couple
Not at all.
points where our friend Nathan came to the studio with us. So we have a friend DJ who plays all of our home shows with us. And then our dear friend Nathan doesn't live in Tennessee currently, and so he goes out on the road with us a lot. So when we went to New Jersey, DJ couldn't come, and so we asked Nathan, and they're kind of like the 2 unofficial members of Idle Threat. And so he was in the studio with us, and there's a couple songs where he sings some backgrounds, but on this song, no, it's just me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love the way that you sing this song. Then it's definitely, it feels a little bit different than the other songs.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So what did you like when it came together? What did you guys really like about it?
I love the outro. I love the outro
Yeah.
a lot. It was kind of like the original idea we had. Like all we really had were the chords, and we ended up keeping the same chord progression, but everything else about it changed. And as it came together, I started getting the melody and the lyrics for it. And I also think that that's really the most powerful lyrics of the song. And I think the music does a great job of supporting the same feel that the lyrics are giving. And it's also just really pretty and beautiful and that kind of melancholy at the same time. I just think it's awesome. Yeah, really like that.
Yeah, I like that the color is kind of, I could see other bands would say blue instead of beige,
Yeah.
just because. But I think it's awesome how you guys. It's kind of a song about this dull depression,
Mm-hmm.
and beige is a not vibrant color.
Yeah.
It's
very-
Gary's wardrobe, basically. Gary just wears, all he wears is beige clothes.
I wrote the song for you, Gary, actually.
That's
You
right.
wrote it for
Beige
you.
is the new black.
Yeah, dude. Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's a lyric in there that I kind of wanted to ask, and it might be too touchy or depressing to talk about, but it's up to you guys.
No, go for it.
There's a lyric that says, "I saw a good friend die. I watched his mother cry." And it continues. Is that in there just for the song, or what's the story behind this line?
Yes and no. Yes, it is in there for the song. No, it's not just in there for the song.
Okay.
It is also something specifically in my life. But I didn't get too we didn't get too specific with it so that like no one else could relate to it. But when in 2016 when I was 21, I lost one of my closest friends from high school. His name is Ryan Steelman, and he was like, man, everyone has that friend in high school where they do all their crazy stuff with.
Yeah.
He was the guy that would get me to do the stupidest things, man. Like he was just he was so much fun. And but in 2016 he passed away through a motorcycle accident, and it was the first time I'd ever lost anyone in my life like that close to me, and it was shocking, especially because it happened while we were still so young. And so that's specifically what that's referring to. And I just remember in that season of life, we were around his mom a lot, us friends who were really close to him, and I just remember things like at his funeral, or crying, things like that, and just in the song, like that's kind of like the catalyst for why this person or why this person took this road of like apathy or just kind of numbing out, which is kind of what the song, what beige represents in the song. It's just kind of like running away from those things, just choosing not to feel them because of something so traumatic that happened. You don't ever want to feel that again, and so that's kind of like what that mentioning that in the song is about. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I really like the song. I feel like you guys are really good at writing songs that like you just it's like not meant to be listened to as a group, but like with your headphones on and like really introspective, and like you lose track of where you are and like what's happening. And like this is one of those songs that just kind of takes you away.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what we hope for. We write songs. We want them to go deeper than just the surface,
Yeah. Definitely does.
Thank you.
Track 10?
The last song on Blurred Visions, No Turning Back.
Loose your hands from the dead grip you wield on your short-sighted plans. Go and purchase the field that's been sown in surrender and joy. It's worth more than the treasure, so I let go.
This was, when you released it, I was like, man, this is awesome. I still really like it. It's not my favorite on the album, but it's really, really great. And I love that it ends this album. Thinking about what you guys were saying about how this whole idea of control is kind of your theme that you focus with, like, it makes a ton of sense to end this Blurred Visions with this song.
Yeah.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, at first we, like, I don't know, part of me feels like weird that we ended it with the first single. Usually that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but the more that like we sit with that decision, the more I'm at peace with it. And I think that was, I think it's a great.
We were either going to start it or end it with the
Totally.
and actually Driftwood 2 being it is
Yeah,
an opener,
that's
but
right.
we also thought it could be a closer. So both of those songs were just kind of fighting for which one would start the record and which one would end it. We knew everything else would be in between, but we ended up. No Turning Back was the final decision, and I think it's a great ender.
Yeah, the chorus, the "So I let go, my illusion of control, when my doubts come calling out, sweep my heart up in your clouds, and I swear I won't come back to the ground." That chorus is in my head all day, every day.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's great. Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I always catch myself. I'm a high school teacher.
Okay.
And I always
Cool.
am like, I play this song once you guys released it, like as kids are like walking in and stuff,
No way. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like kids are like, oh, that's what is this? And so, but and then we're just like, I'm humming the chorus and stuff all day. So it's really cool. Love this song.
And then the kids make fun of you for listening to old people music, right?
No. Yeah, the kids are like, what? They don't make fun. Most kids today though, like they're kind of in the rap scene, but it changed. Like there's stuff that's changing. Some kids really enjoy, the indie scene and stuff.
Oh, totally.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I love this song. Really cool. Gary, what do you got on it?
Yeah, when it came out, it was my favorite song that you guys released. So so I've mentioned that, it reminds me a lot of your previous EP. It's like if you put all the songs together in one, I felt like this was how you would describe that EP. But I really like that outro that you guys do. All my dreams for my life, mist that vanishes at light, cross before, world behind, I am yours and I won't turn back around. Like, you guys could probably write a pretty good worship album.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that in mind though, like, how do you guys get your lyrics? Like, are they always like personally based, or are you like, oh, I'm gonna read the Bible and try to get inspiration, or like, do they just come to you? Like,
there have been times where we've done that. Yeah.
Like really, all three of those things are kind of how we do lyrics. Because you mentioned you're a lyric person, so am I. Like, Me Without You is my favorite band. I said that earlier. Like, it's all that. Like, I love the music of it, but like what hooked me was just the layers and I want to sit with a record or a song for years of my life and learn new stuff about it. I'm not saying we write that kind of music, but like that's what
we're striving for.
That's the perspective I come at when I'm writing lyrics. Is I want to sit with something and it be more than just the catchiness is cool, but beyond that, it needs to be something that is going to last. Even if that lasting effect is just for the rest of the day, right? Like someone thought about being a better friend to someone else, or they thought about how they could better take care of themselves and their own mental health, or how they could, get closer to God, or at least feel closer to God. Those things are all things that we think about when we write songs, and I feel like with this song, I will say this. With this song, it was my least favorite coming into this album. And it almost, not that, I don't want to say it almost didn't make it, because I don't have that much power. But if it were up to me, I wouldn't have, pursued it. But we ended up doing it, and I'm really stoked on how it turned out. And because it's just, it is a little more straightforward, I guess.
Yeah.
And not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's just not usually my approach. I'm usually, when we write, it's one of us kind of has an idea, and then the other person is there to sort of help finish the song, and it bounces back and forth on who that person is.
Yeah.
But we come at it from the perspective of I want it to be. Let's say maybe we'll say at my worst, I want it to be super metaphorical and almost make no sense. And at his worst, it is like,
let's just say
I
believe in Jesus.
That
would be, but that wouldn't be a good poetic line,
Right.
We want to strive for excellence in like the way that we write, like using all of our words and metaphors and like write objectively good lyrics.
Yeah.
At the same time, we don't want it to be like, like a Da Vinci Code or something like that.
Yeah.
You gotta But at the same time, like there have been songs that are like really hard to decipher that have meant a lot to me, and songs that are straightforward that have meant a lot to Ernie, and so we're always pushing each other. We're always pushing each other to be better, and then I don't know, that's what comes out.
Yeah. So the Bible is used a lot to answer your question directly. But it is also experiences like I've talked about on some of the other songs. And it is also, like the third thing you said, just kind of come to you. Like literally 2 of the songs on this record, Zeke just comes to me with this little notebook that has lyrics in it, and it's a full song that he had written in sometimes in a couple hours and sometimes over a couple of weeks. But like, it just kind of like it comes to him, So I'm not quite as it doesn't quite come to me. I have to actually like lock myself in a room and
Which he did.
which I
did that a lot.
Yeah. No one come in here. I know I'm on. It's kind of like that. It's on the tip of your tongue feeling,
Yeah.
It's like I know I have something here. I just can't figure out how to say it and the right amount of syllables to fit it into the song. And then we eventually make it work.
Awesome. So why isn't there a song on the album called Blurred Vision? Where'd the name come from? Like, what's the meaning behind that?
So Blurred Visions is, again, album is about control or lack thereof, right? And a lot of times you can take it as a more like the physical, like blurred vision, like your actual vision.
Sure.
But also like when you envision something for yourself, you hope that it is clear, right? You want it to be clear, and so that way you can move into making whatever that vision is happen. But that's not really how life works, and a lot of times your vision, whether it be physical vision or metaphorically your vision for your life, is blurred, which is sort of unsettling, or like you don't have as much confidence in it necessarily because it's not crystal clear, and so it is a lack of control, and it's just not like I don't have control over. Again, talking about physical, I wear contacts, so I literally know what it's like to wake up in the morning and I can't start my day if I can't see, right? So so there's that lack of control for that. But then also like in your life, like having a blurred vision for your life, or blurred visions, plural for everyone, or even just for yourself, having multiple things you'd like to do with your life, it forces you to sort of give up that control of, like, I don't have a clear view of my life, but I know who does, and I'm going to trust that God is, got more. I'm going to lay down the control I have. Essentially, no turning back. Which no turning back was we thought about maybe calling it blurred visions, because it would. I think personally that song would make the most sense if we called it that. But we decided let's not do a title track because we've done that on every other record. So.
Yeah, I think another reason that we named it that was because it's kind of like each song is like a window, or like, and I kind of view it like each song is like a hazy glimpse of the truth. Like we're talking about truth in every song, like whether it be about anxiety and how to deal with it, or how we've dealt with it in our lives, or whether it be about apathy and like how like fleeting it is, or how like unsatisfying it is. Each song is kind of like a hazy glimpse of the truth, or like a blurred vision. So that's kind of why we did plural. Like the whole album is like a collection of blurred visions.
Cool.
I know for me, like thinking, like listening through this album, and Gary's an album dude. Gary listens start to finish. I pick and choose, but listening through this album.
He's like, let's start on track 5, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Listening through this start to finish, at the very end, I have some feelings like I am refreshed about the sovereignty of God in my life, where I can't control everything. And I don't know if that was fully what you guys were trying to get at, but it really, for me, that's as a big piece of what I took away from this awesome album, is that the control, like you were saying, isn't here, and isn't necessarily with me, but how sovereign God is. And so I want to thank you for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're welcome. That's what we kind of wrote it, because that's our heart as well. Like, I don't know, just like realizing that lack of control of your life isn't such a bad thing when it's in hands that are greater than yours. Right.
Absolutely.
Like, and even if your life was totally in your control, that you would probably wreck it. You would probably totally screw it up, and so it can be so scary and so like unsettling sometimes. Like the realization that you have no control, and so that's kind of the overarching theme, and that's what we were writing about. So it's awesome that you guys picked up on that. That's sick. Yeah.
Okay, that's the end of the album. We said this before in our first when we did you guys' EP. We don't think there's anything that you guys could do wrong. Whatever you guys do, man, we love. No, we love you're putting stuff out. And we really like it. So we're looking forward to obviously maybe at some point seeing you guys. You guys come to Washington. Maybe we'll see you.
Long ways away.
Long ways away, baby. But we would love to come see you guys live. And we look forward to the music that's going to come after this too. So, yeah, we're pretty excited.
Yeah, we're Team Idle Threat, so we're wishing you guys the best success. And, you know,
we're Team All Consuming. So
there we go.
Awesome.
There we go.
We'll be spamming you guys on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
When this episode drops, so
Awesome.
everyone will find you.
We appreciate you guys.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on, you guys. We totally appreciate it. It was fun doing our first interview with you guys.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you for having us.
All right, that wraps up our interview with Idle Threat. Make sure to check out their album that drops October 29th, Blurred Visions.
And be sure to follow us on Instagram at All Consuming Podcast. Find our Discord server and check out our new merch store.
Ooh.
And if you love what we're doing and you want to help keep us going, buy us a cup of coffee on our Patreon.
Thank you for listening.